And shaboop, we are live. Okay, awesome. Here we are, Misadventures Cherie, Part 1. Kate, are you excited?
So excited.
Yes. For those, well, first of all, welcome to the table. Second of all, if you're unaware of what exactly we are doing, quick spoiler alert for Alita episode 19, I'm pretty sure. Episode 19. It's the one called Sick and Twisted. Spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. Okay, excellent. Do the flip. If you don't want to hear the spoilers, do a flip. Exactly. At the end of Alita episode 19, sadly, more than half of the party was sucked away in a tornado and killed. At least from Cherie's perspective. And so we are hopping in right now. So we are going to be doing a Misadventures episode to catch up the Cherie timeline to what's going on in Alita Core, and then we're going to see what happens from there. And this is going to be a really fun time. Kate, we have been talking about this for weeks, and I'm very excited.
I'm also very excited.
We've been cooking. Oh, is there anything else you want to chat about before we hop in? Maybe we're gonna have some buddies joining us. Maybe it's just gonna be us.
Maybe somebody. Maybe I don't know. Or.
What else? What's up?
No, I was thinking of things to talk about. Unless you have something.
No. Well, what I'm gonna say is that we're setting a very dangerous precedent that we can only do misadventures with people named Kate.
You hear that? You hear that?
If your name's not Kate, you're never gonna be in these.
You're never gonna be here.
It's day one.
Day one. Day two. Kate supremacy.
Those thuds are coming through.
You'll never get in the box. It's mine. Kate's only. It's my house.
Kate's only.
Kate's only.
We're really getting.
Everyone else go home.
I think we're getting into the Dura mindset right now. We're doing the wrong character. Oh, okay. Well, that was that's gonna be a short for sure. Nothing to do with D&D. Just showing aggressive support for Kate. All right. Okay. So, is there anything else you want to chat about before we hop right in?
Nah, let's hop in.
Okay, let's hop in. Want to make sure the music's all good. Oh, I think it's gonna be one of those tracks that just fucks around all the time and gets really loud for no reason. So we're actually gonna change it up a little bit. Actually, no, we're not. We're just gonna risk it. All right.
Oh.
Okay. So, Kate.
Want to risk it for the biscuit?
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. So, first 101 D&D. Since the last time we did this, Kate, was March of 2022, I believe. It was the very first Palm in the Fist, session. That was not recorded.
Crazy.
It was just like the beginning of the entire world. And so I'm very happy to be back here doing this with you. Thank you for wanting to do this.
Thank you for creating this space so that we can do this.
Always.
Yeah, I hope this creates less work for you in the main game.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes things a lot easier because, well, first of all, I just love having these like personal sessions with people because I think it allows for people to really get into like, well, first of all, highlighting excellent character work of people being like, oh, I can be in character even without any other people to bounce off. Like, I think that shows such dedication. And also it makes the narrative easier because I can play with pieces that aren't on the board essentially and be able to move stuff to make things make sense narratively, which at least for me it's important this like narrative kind of flows together well, and I'm glad that you are willing to do that with me, so thank you. Absolutely.
I love you.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
But I am pretty sure that it is time to get into that failure mindset. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely awesome. Well, in that case, a deep and cleansing breath, and we hop right in. That sound good? Okay, then please join me. Oh, we gotta start it that way. And everything after the belch is canon. Everything after that belch is canon. So, Kate. How do we even begin? Where do we even begin? I think for Misadventures Cherie Part 1, let's do a quick character description. Okay. So I'll give you some context as to like how I want you to do this, but picking up right where Alita episode 19 left off, from Cherie's perspective, as Cherie is forced to pull away from the tornado, being the sole survivor of her party, She is able to rush into the outer walls of Herb Corte and is immediately greeted by a slew of Pavel guardsmen as the gates are closed and latched behind her. One man rushes up to calm your wounded horse. Again, you and it both are hurt and wet and dirty and potentially even panicking after surviving this insane weather event, while 3 other men rush up to help you down off of the steed. Now, in this moment, the world is almost slowly deafened around you, slightly because of the events that just transpired, and partly because the whipping wind and the sounds of this raging thunderstorm and this tornado were so strong that it's causing almost like a deafening of your physical ears. And impressed and chastising words from the gate's commanders disappear amidst the rain and the thunder and the whipping wind. And Kate, can you please describe what Cherie looks like, taking into account her exhaustion and the weather and what just happened?
Yeah, I think she is the epitome of shell-shocked, starting at her face, which has a sort of tannish brown tint to it, has lost a couple of shades. Her purple eyes are kind of staring out at nothing. Her lips are chapped. Her skin is dry. Her armor is still neatly in place, but it doesn't hang with the confidence that it used to. And she still has her strength. That's very apparent to anyone who sees her. But she just feels heavy, like she can't carry her own body weight, which normally she has no problem with.
There's a phrase that Kate, you and I use when we're hanging out, where it's lumber, 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 where it's not that it is not that you are weak in this moment. That Cherie is not weak. She's not weak in this moment, but her weight is being felt in a way that it usually is not, and it's almost as if her incredible mass of muscle is working against her. And as you stand within the walls, and as the guardsmen try to take your mount away to go and stable it, to care for it, what do you do next?
I definitely get off the horse. It's not a graceful dismount. It's she barely manages to get one leg around, and then kind of slides off and stumbles a bit. Holding on to the horse's mane, but does give it a pat on its flank. And I think for a couple seconds she just stands there holding the horse, because she's a little afraid of what will happen if she has to walk on her own. But eventually she collects herself and dismisses the horse and tries to walk away.
All right. As you pat this horse, you stay with it for just a moment longer, and you are able to feel its massive head move over it and almost press into your face and your chest, as it is a steed that has grown accustomed to you, and you have protected it well. And in one final kind of press, and of course you can see this steed again. It's not dying in this moment. Before it is removed from your care, it gives you a small little nonverbal thank you.
I press my forehead to its head before it goes.
Cherie always wanted to care for animals, and as the horse is carted away, and you say that you said that you begin walking, correct?
Yeah.
Where to? Where do you go?
She just picks a direction and goes. I don't even know.
Okay. Within the walls of Herb Corte, within the small village within the walls surrounding the hill that leads up to the main fortifications of the castle itself, you just begin walking. And slowly it's that slow lumbering of muscle that is not able to hold itself anymore as you trudge through this village. Many of the doors and the windows shuttered and closed because of this. Even within the walls, the horrible storm, the walls being able to break most of the worst wind, still the rain and the downpour and some of the debris and the signs kind of clacking into themselves. You then come and face the hill leading up to the main castle of Herb Corte.
Okay.
Do you just continue to so again, no destination, or are you kind of just like working on autopilot right now?
Yeah, fully on autopilot. Like she doesn't know where her feet are carrying her. She's not really in control of herself right now.
Okay. Then in that way, as your mind kind of escapes you, the next hour or so to you is more of a blur than anything else. And as you slowly move up the hill, and as the wooden buildings of the the orbiting villages begins to dissipate and become these large stone structures and watchtowers and walls and walkways, you begin moving your way into the main castle of Herb Corte, and suddenly, almost as like a shock to yourself, kind of like when you zone out when you're driving, basically. And although you remember getting in the car, you know you were safe, and you remember getting to your destination, you don't remember the drive itself. You are able to watch as confusedly two guardsmen, Pavel guardsmen, give you a honorable salute, as you are able to watch as the large gates blocking the outside world from the inside of Herb Corte, the main castle, shut behind you, as you are now within Herb Corte proper.
I think this is the first time Cherie doesn't give a salute back to the guards, because she's just so out of it. She doesn't even notice it. But those guards would know something was off, as she does not return their salute.
There certainly is a look shared between them as you head inside, but it is not their station to question your competence, and they simply return to their posts. Now that you are within the central castle, do you go to rest? Would you go to find any of the nobles that reside here? Where would Cherie's destination go?
I think before she even has time to think about it, she's at the Marquis's quarters. Okay.
As the door, again, it's like flashes of you're just not remembering. You're so exhausted. The door, we immediately smash cut, and the door is open, and you are able to see the Marquis, Alwyn Pavel, and his eldest daughter, Adelia Pavel, both within this war room. And it seems that in this blinding confusion, they were awakened and summoned to this war room. It seems that they are both in like more proper like lounge wear. It seems that they just immediately rushed here upon hearing of your return. And Adelia is the first one to speak to you and says, "So Cherie, you have returned. Our guardsmen manning the eastern gates told us that you returned with only your mount. What happened?"
She drops heavily to one knee, and for a while doesn't say anything, because not even she knows what to say in this moment.
Let me know if this makes sense. There's a heavy, for the first time, the emotional weight crashes on top of the physical. And there's a heavy, just one heavy exhale that comes out from her chest. And Kate, is it okay if we play around with that kind of like smash cut idea?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say that immediately as she drops down, the last thing that you remember before we kind of jump forward a bit are Alwyn and Adelia immediately, and they stand up from their chairs and they rush over to help you. And then we're going to immediately cut to you standing or sitting, whatever is appropriate, nearest to the war table, and you were able to see Alwyn with a blank stare into the lit fire within the hearth, and Adelia with her leaning forward, bent over the table, elbows on the table, her hands covering her mouth. There are no words. It almost seems like it is a tug of war to see who will speak first.
It's not going to be Cherie.
Okay. Adelia speaks first, and she says, We'll send a team out to follow the path, the path of the cyclone, this evening. We will make sure. I'll make a quick wisdom saving throw for her. She says, we'll make sure to give Cassiano and Amadeus a proper funeral and burial with all of the honors of a knights. Alwyn then speaks.
What about Hathor?
There's an immediate silence that falls over the room as you speak up, and I'm going to make a quick roll. Actually, no. Please give me a d20 roll, and I want you to give me get a 10 or higher.
No. I did not.
Alwyn speaks up.
Mm-hmm.
And Alwyn says, quick check for him to see how much of a dick he's going to be. That is above a 10. Excellent. He says, a regrettable loss, to be sure. We are not knowledgeable about her customs or religion, but we will collect her as well. You are more than allowed to join, if appropriate.
Thank you, Sir Marquis.
Alwyn, again, eyes not breaking from the fire, gets incredibly quiet. And if you want to give me an insight check, you can.
Sure. There was that above a 10 roll. 21.
21. Cherie, having no... Also, Gab, hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Gab.
This is going to be a somber session. But Gab, stick around. I think you're going to like what's coming up. Absolutely excellent, Gab. So happy that you're here. Cherie, having no kin of her own, but having worked as a protector for years at this point, there is not a pain that is known that is more significant than a parent outliving their child. And looking at Alwyn and looking at his stare and how almost unreactive he is. This is, because it's a 21, this is not the lack of pain. You get the sense that this is not the first child that Alwyn has lost.
Okay.
And Adelia immediately says, Sir Cherie, there were plans that you were unaware of, that involved Cassiano and Amadeus. We can give a full explanation once funeral rites have been given, but for right now, due to the delicate nature of this, would it be acceptable to request of you that this incredible loss be kept between those in this room?
Of course, my lady.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Do not thank me.
Adelia pushes herself up from the table, and you can see tears welling in her eyes. She uses the back of her thumb to push them away and says, It happened, so you did everything you could have. And a room will be prepared for you to rest and recuperate from your travels. Just if you are in need of anything, let us know.
My well-being should be of the least concern to you, my lady.
Thank you. And you see Alwyn raises his hand and says, Please, if you would not mind leaving us.
Of course.
And where does Cherie go?
I think she lingers outside. Once the doors have shut behind her, she lingers outside for a bit. And then she just picks a direction and starts walking.
You pick a direction. You start walking. And I want you to give me a D4 roll.
What? 1.
A 1. Excellent news. You are in the safest location you could possibly be right now. And so there is no wrong direction here. Mm-hmm. With a 1, as you begin to wander. Also, Emmy, thank you for joining. Excellent to have you here. Hope your stream went well with everything going there. And yes, very intense. So locking in. You begin to wander the halls once again. It's almost as if, your body is acting just on instinct, just to keep going. You still have not had any rest since, at this point, 4 days ago. Mm-hmm. And you rapidly find yourself in the cramped and damp hallways of the undercarriage of Herb Corte, these subterranean hallways, and lit by candlelight. Again, only maybe one guard posted by the stairway on either side. You come to that long hallway, that you walked down with Princess Helena only less than a week ago, and you begin seeing these carvings, these like fey carvings in this hallway, and you come to the center point of this hallway with that archway, with that stone archway bricked over. What is going through Cherie's mind, having been taken to this location?
I think seeing the Fey carvings and the Fey archway, it fills her with a sudden rush of anger. Because we confirmed that Chariotto was Fey. Yes. Correct? Yeah, so all of a sudden just a flash of anger by association. Anger at Chariotto, anger at F, anger at Hathor for not putting herself first, and then it all loops back to anger at Cherie, at herself. And I think in that rage, she doesn't even realize that she's pulled out her sword and started hacking at the stone archway. At the stone archway.
Okay. I want you to give me, I'm going to say, because of this intense rage, and with each one of those thoughts that you just listed out, I think that's 3 specific instances. Give me 3 attack rolls.
Ooh-wee. Okay. That's 17.
17?
A 19.
19?
And a 9.
And a 9. 2 of those hit. Mm-hmm. I would like for you to roll me your regular damage for those attacks, and let me know what the total. Let me know what the total is.
So it was 2 hits.
Yes, 2 hits.
Okay.
This is plus your modifier, plus everything.
Yeah. Wait, what am I doing here? That's 30 points of damage.
30 points of damage?
I rolled 2d6 plus 5, and so for 2 attacks, it's 4d6 plus 10.
Excellent. Just give me 1 minute here.
Yeah. Take your time. Take your time. Take your time.
Super cool.
Property damage.
Also, that is so much damage. I am amazed. I was expecting like 10 or whatever. Also, by the way, Gab, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
And, thanks, Gab.
And be happy to hear that you're staying. Let me just quickly go over into, because I should be able to have it here, which would be here and then here. And Kate, can I be honest with you? Mm-hmm. We might be going long tonight. We're going a little bit off the rails. And
okay. I'm sorry.
No, this is the shit that I live for.
Okay.
Cherie, the first swing, again, you're exhausted, you're tired, it misses, it only scrapes into the stone itself. But the two more strikes, they come down hard, they come down heavy, and I'll just say in this moment, again, your mind almost escaping you, your sword ignites, that same kind of white phosphorus, and it's not so much that you're slashing like it's a monster, but instead, you're jamming the hilt of the sword into the stone 1 time and then 2 times. And I didn't expect to have to explain this now. But what you're able to see, again, these incredible strikes, as they come in, you are able, with your, again, a lesser person with lesser strength would not have been able to do this, but with such an incredible amount of damage to this wall, you're able to watch that 4 of these bricks inlaid on top of each other, they crumble and they fall inward. And as you look, and as your sword, kind of glowing just for a moment, as it begins to extinguish, you realize that what you were just hitting was not a solid wall, but it was a wall constructed to obscure and stop some kind of passageway. And from that glow, what you're able, just from your sword before it extinguishes, you are able to illuminate a stairway passage heading down.
I think with that, because in order to ignite the Crimson Rite, I have to damage myself. I think in that first missed attack, the sword kind of bounces back and she nicks herself a little bit across the face. Ooh. So I think it is that blood dripping down her face that kind of snaps her out of it.
Okay.
And she sees the staircase. Is there anyone around?
There are two guards far off. He's like 30 feet to one side, 30 feet to the other. But no one is like, although you're able to see heads kind of, give me a quick intimidation check as heads like, they go, like they kind of like turn over and look at you.
That is a 21.
A 21. You look over, your face is cut and your sword aflame before it kind of collapses back into itself. They immediately go, and they just fully look away from you.
Great then. I will go down these stairs.
Okay. Now, so you fully activate your Crimson Rite, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how long is your sword ablaze then?
It lasts while I hold the weapon or until I complete a short or long rest. So.
Okay. Yeah. You descend down these stairs. And this is cold, wet, slippery stone. Seemingly, this has been walled off for an incredibly long amount of time. Mm-hmm. And as you continue down this stairway, it goes for one story. Again, it's just one straight decline going down, but you're able to kind of clock, it's one story down, 2 stories down, 3 stories down. And you then remember that Herb Corte is built on a hill. And so so right now, instead of heading down like into deeper sections of the castle, you would have to imagine that this passageway is most likely leading into like underground, like earthen chambers essentially that are underneath the actual foundation of the castle itself. Mm-hmm. Okay. As you continue down, you see torches kind of hanging on the you see torches hanging on the sides to your left and your right, like every maybe 5 or 8 feet or so. And you're able to realize that... give me a quick investigation check.
Is this recalling information about Fey, Fiend, or Undead?
It would be, yes.
Okay. That is a dirty 20.
That is a dirty 20. The construction of these torch like torch holsters that are kind of like just carved into the wall, you look at these and you're able to recognize that they look ornate enough that they're not meant to be hidden. Again, it's old, like, you know, algae and spider webs just everywhere. You're able to hear bugs just kind of scurrying away all around you. Rats just kind of like rushing out as they just feel this light for the first time in however long. And you realize that this chamber was sealed off not as some kind of secluded dungeon, but as a place that was frequented, potentially by guests even.
Interesting.
And you continue down the stairs. Mm-hmm. As you continue down the stairs, the walls, again, it's only a 5 foot wide passageway. It's wide enough for one person to go down at a time. but you enter into... Okay, so you have night... Do you have a dark vision?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you... Maintaining the mystery, because I want to know what you want to investigate here. But for the dark vision, within, let's say, like a 10-foot radius of your sword, it's completely illuminated. As you step out, and as the walls kind of disappear around you, ceiling as well, you're able to recognize that whatever place you just stepped into, again, your sense is very keen. You smell and you hear, and you're able to hear water dripping somewhere, echoing off of the walls. The chamber that you're in much larger. As you smell, you're able to smell small little pools of like sitting water that have like begun to moss over, potentially some vines and some dirt kind of creeping in from cracks in the mortar around you. And outside of this immediate vision, you're able to see shifting, almost like not shifting, but like blurry black and white outlines in like in a 60-foot chamber around you. And you're able to recognize, you're able to look up and around, and I'll just give you general for right now, but we can get more specific if you want. Above you, you're able to see walkways. Like carved walkways, similar to how theaters have like box seats. This would be places for like essentially like a second story without an immediate floor above you, so that people could look down on this chamber. 1, 2. You're able to see stairways to your left and your right, and then far off in the distance to like the to your northwest and your northeast, leading up to these kind of this like observation deck. You're then able to see I want to make sure I get this right. 5 enormous stone pillars. Now, what the purpose of these pillars are, you're not entirely certain, but you're able to notice that they're square. And maybe about like 8 feet up, the pillars disappear and then become weird shapes. But you're not able to see the specifics of those weird shapes. And the last thing you're able to see is protruding out from the northernmost wall, so on the opposite end of the chamber that you just entered into, some kind of large structure, maybe a collapse. You're really not sure. It seems like a pile of rubble more than anything else, but you're unable to get any more details than that.
Can I approach the rubble?
So you want to do do you want to do the rubble first?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. You approach the rubble, and again, your sword burning, and as you begin to walk by, because you have to walk basically in between these pillars to go and get to the rubble, give me a quick perception check as you're walking by these pillars.
18.
18. The first pillar that you walk by, you're, again, outside of your immediate torchlight, the closer it is to you, the better your vision can focus. And with this, again, you blink and it's like, and your eyes almost become like the slits of like cat's eyes momentarily with this dark vision. And you look and you're able to see that this pillar is not a structural support. This pillar, the first 5-10 feet of it going up, is the pedestal for a statue. And the weird shape that you're able to identify, again, it's like maybe, a 5-8 foot tall pedestal and then a 5-8 foot tall statue of a minotaur individual. You're able to see standing, like fists on hips, barrel chest pushed out. Give me a, you got an 18?
Yes.
Wearing some kind of like elaborate flowing pants, but with very clearly obvious hooves poking out from the bottom of the pants, with a, almost like a, again, this is all in a stone that is overgrown with moss and with cobwebs and has been wet and some of it's falling apart. You're able to see a nose ring with some deeper kind of like etches into it, and one of the horns has come off of this Minotaur's head and has struck into his shoulder and has caused a deep kind of almost like crack that is allowing water and like kind of sediment to kind of leak in and out, creating like you get the sense that everything in this place is just probably is very easy to destroy because of just how long it's been neglected.
Mm-hmm.
Also, welcome in, Darby.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I make an investigation check on this Minotaur statue?
Absolutely you can, 100%. Give me a good investigation check. Also,
Faith.
hello, yes, absolutely, Faith, and you're undead. Also, hello, cue the music. Haven't seen you before. Welcome to the stream.
Hello.
Welcome to the table.
Faith, you're undead?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Oh, hello, boss.
Oh,
Well,
you are hiding. Investigation?
Mm-hmm.
17.
With 17, the nameplate of this statue has long since degraded.
Mm.
But underneath, do you know Sylvan?
Nope.
Okay. You're unable to read. You're able to notice that this plaque has writing in it. Again, the name long since withered away. But the etching within it, you'd be able to recognize the language of Sylvan.
Uh-huh.
But with an you had an 18, correct?
Mm-hmm. 17.
Oh, a 17? With a 17, that's kind of, I'll say, like, just palling around with Cass for so long. A striking memory of Cass after what just happened. You're able to recognize one word out of this like phrase that's written underneath this statue. You're able to read the word bull.
Okay. And are there other statues in this place?
There are 4 other statues.
Can I look at them, try to see what other figures
You absolutely
they are?
may. You are able to look at these 4 other statues, and in no particular order, you are able to see that these statues are that of a hen folk, a bovine folk, a sheep folk, and a hoglin. And you are able to read, again with that 17 investigation, underneath the associated, underneath the hen folk, chicken, underneath the bovine folk, cow, underneath the sheep folk, sheep, and underneath the hoglin, pig. Would you like to give me a history check or an investigation check?
I think I already know.
What do you think?
These are the paths around Herb Corte, no?
Yes, they are. You hit the nail on the head. You remember that you and Cass and Hathor, again, strikes, trying to remove that memory from your mind. You had to travel down the path of the sheep to get to Slaughterhouse 2, the Laughter House, and you returned. You returned in between the path of the sheep and the path of the pig. And then you moved to this pile of rubble. And as you put that together, you realize that actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to say anything regarding that. I gotta keep some stuff a secret. You put that lip away. As you approach this rubble, immediate shock and awe as your fire reaches it before your eyes do. As again, you've been walking by these statues, kind of looking to the left and looking to the right, and you're immediately shocked because what emerges from the darkness and is now covered in the light from your like white phosphorus sword it's this rounded, it almost looks like two entrances to some small caves. It's a rounded boulder that has two like etchings and entrances going inside of it.
Crouch down and like hold the sword up to get a closer look at it.
As you crouch down and you take a closer look, again, nothing clear inside of these caves, and the light is so difficult to maneuver that you're unable to see maybe more than 5 feet into these small cave and of this like this rounded boulder with cave entrances. Mm-hmm. But as you crouch down, you see something very strange, because at the tip of this like kind of rounded, so the best way to describe it, it's this rounded tip that then trails off in like a 45-degree angle before meeting the floor again. And as you look down and you're kind of investigating into this like little kind of gap in between this boulder and the floor, you're able to see a stalactite emerging out from the rock almost perfectly. And you're able to look on the other side, and there's another stalactite that is mirrored on the opposite side of this boulder. Cherie, I'd like you to give me a perception check right now.
Okay. That is a 18.
An 18. Mirrored stalagmites. Fangs. And as you hold your sword aloft, you look and you see that this is, you take a step back and you're able to notice a small overcrop right from like beneath this like rounded boulder that like kind of separates the bottom section of the boulder from the top section of the boulder. And you're able to notice that this is not a boulder, but a nose. And this is not a 45-degree incline or a decline towards the floor. This is the bottom section of a chin. And as you hold your sword up and the immediate area becomes illuminated around you, you are able to trail up from this rounded section, not a boulder, but a nose, go up the bridge of the nose, and you're able to see a square, lizard-like head looking back at you, completely made of stone. You're able to see this head is larger than your entire body, and you're able to see eyes seemingly closed, covered in stone. And taking a step back and step back and a step back, you were able to see the largest head of a dragon you've ever seen. Something that would only be seen in the storybooks. With a perception check of a 18, correct?
Yeah.
You look, you're able to back up. This chamber is much larger than what you anticipated, because you're able to recognize that this dragon's body is coiled and curled up behind its head. And so it's resting here, again, made of stone. You can see its wings are almost coating itself like a blanket to shield itself. But through the kind of gaps and the small little imperfections, you're able to see front 2 legs that could act as arms, back 2 legs that would act as legs, a long curling tail, and again, these massive wings. And the last thing you're able to identify is that on this dragon's head, in between its 2 eyes, pressed into what essentially would be like its forehead, you're able to see almost like a cut or some kind of slit into it. But anything more than that, you'd have to get closer.
Mm-hmm. Is this a skeleton, or am I looking at a statue?
You're looking at a statue of a dragon right now.
Can I look up and see, like, is there a pedestal that this statue is missing from?
There is no pedestal. No, this is just, this thing is laying flat on the ground, basically.
Okay. Cherie's getting the the sense that she should not be here, and yet she moves closer towards the dragon.
You move closer, and you very gently begin moving past the head, and you're able to see this slit, it's now more than like a slit, it's like an indentation into the forehead. But it seems like to learn more, you'd have to climb up onto the head of this dragon statue to look at it properly.
I'll climb on.
You climb on. Even as tired as you are, it's a Scooby-Doo Adventures, you're full of energy. Mm-hmm. You climb up onto the snout of this great dragon statue, and you kneel in front of this gap in between its eyes. And Cherie, I think some pieces begin to click, because as you look at this gap in between its eyes, it forms the shape perfectly of an elongated diamond, like a cylinder with 2 points. Please give me a history check with advantage.
That is a 19.
19. You're not sure how, and you're not sure why, but you remember back to the Harvest Festival, to Winterscott Key, but not Winterscott Key. The Queen's jewelry. You remember the necklace of the pillars. A necklace of these 7 elongated diamonds. Sorry, six elongated diamonds.
Uh-huh. And there's nothing in... It's a hole in that shape, or there's...
It looks almost minuscule when compared to this thing's massive skull and massive body, but there is nothing inside of that slot, no.
Okay. That sense that she's not supposed to be here has gotten even stronger, so she starts climbing down off the dragon.
Okay, you climb down off the dragon, and you are surrounded by these statues honoring these animal folk that you have never heard of and never seen in front of this massive statue of a dragon. What do you do next?
I think the fun's over, and I think she heads back out the way she came.
Okay. It's a 3-story climb, so many stairs, but you were able to make your way back outside of this chamber and successfully leave the understructure of Herb Corte, and you are now back within the main halls of this servants' tunnel that you have seen before.
Is there a way to seal back the archway or cover up this stairway?
Yeah, I'd say without actually, give me a quick sleight of hand check, Cherie.
Okie dokie. 15?
15? You are able to quickly rush past one of the guards, rush up, and you're able to just take basically just one of these elaborate paintings, and it's yes, of course, the Battle of the 4 Months. This is and the guard just shuts up as you just take the painting off the wall and you run it back down the hallway, and you just hang it in front of this archway to perfectly cover it.
Nice.
Yes, and that entranceway is covered.
Then I will leave this entryway. And still more sure, but this is an unfamiliar place, but her feet will carry her to where she thinks like the guest chambers would be.
Okay. You head off towards the guest chambers. You and again, wordlessly, that shock kind of begins to level against you once again.
Mm-hmm.
And servants are able to kind of see that you're within like the noble section, like not exactly a place where guests are known to typically be, and they're able to gently urge you towards where the guest quarters that have been fixed for you would reside.
I'll follow.
They open the door for you, they nod, they introduce themselves, and they say that if you ever need anything, simply ring the bell, which is next to the bed, and they will have a servant come to service you in whatever way is necessary.
I'm just nodding, taking it all in, but not saying anything.
All right. They leave you, they close the door, and they will leave you to your own devices. What does Cherie do with this privacy?
She needs to keep herself busy, because if she stops, I don't even know what's gonna happen. So like she distracts herself with the ritual that is removing her armor. If they've drawn her a bath, she definitely does take one just to like distract herself, just to give her something to do.
Okay.
And I think by the end of it, she's just staring at the bed. Because it's been so long since she's rested, but she doesn't feel as though she deserves it. And and I think after like this standoff of her in the bed, she lays down on the floor.
Stiff as a board. That's gonna be some back problems when you're older.
Yep.
She lays down on the floor. And does sleep come to Cherie after? Also, what is she? She's not re-armored. What is? Or maybe she is.
No. After a bath, if they had like a robe or something, she would have been in that, just like staring at the bed, being like, I know you're for me, but I don't deserve it.
And an olive green robe, like the grasses of the great seas of Urb Corte, and you're able to wrap yourself in that robe, see the bed, plop down on the floor, and then immediately
if her body weren't so tired, she probably wouldn't sleep. Her mind and her body are kind of at a war with herself, but exhaustion does take over.
Exhaustion takes over. And after these discoveries within the underchambers of Urb Corte, with everything that happened today, where is Cherie's mind in the fleeting moments of consciousness that she has before she rests, before she goes to sleep?
She has a terrible, terrible sense of deja vu. She's running through those last few moments in her mind, wondering what she could have done differently to change the outcome, over and over again in her mind. And I think the last thing she thinks of before sleep it takes over is that sense of deja vu, of one of the first of many ways in her mind that she's failed House LaCroix.
All right. One of the first of many ways that she has failed House LaCroix. And Cherie, as your mind wanders back to that moment in which you failed House LaCroix by your own admittance, we're going to take a step back in time. The crashing of waves against the shore in the distance. The clear, open sky of a night on the sea. And the waters that you hear are calm and quiet. The only sound being the relatively quiet splash of oars entering and exiting the ocean. As this vision comes to you, well, Kate, in all honesty, we're diving into Cherie's memory now. And she is in a rowboat and is currently in between a vessel sailed from the LaCroix Manor and a small fleet of ships docked off the coast of... What was that place again? It was... You read this within the maps that you studied before coming here. It's called Supere. It's the northern island of Sailor's Pass in the palm of the fist. As you approach, give me a perception check. Again, you're kind of looking over your shoulder as you continue ever so quietly yet strongly rowing towards these docked ships. That's a 4? Sadly, with a 4, you are only able to see what you were hoping to see. It's difficult. The idea... No, the rowing isn't difficult in terms of physicality. I think it's difficult to Cherie in terms of technique, as it's just something you have not had to do. Largely, even though with such extensive training, such extensive, largely doing tasks that are seen as like below a woman of your station, Alata is not a very seafaring nation in terms of the way that the nobles themselves move around. And whenever you have visited the LaCroix Castle to the east or the LaCroix Manors to the west, you have had people to ferry you like across moats or around Merchant's Bay. And so there's salt water splashing in your eyes, and the boat is unsteady, but still you're being as quiet as you possibly can. And so with these 3 ships in this kind of, this annoyance, you're only able to see one. The one you came here for. It's fat-bellied. It's wide. It's of a ornate and sophisticated design. And its name is spelled out across its hull in a language you barely understand. But thanks to the lessons from George's and Palm, and also with your briefing of the situation, you are able to make out the words drawn in Alatush cursive, SS Cornucopia, the prized sailing vessel of the LaCroix family. Cherie, as you approach the cornucopia, what do you do?
I think she'll aim to approach on the side of the ship.
Okay.
Sort of like in the ship's blind spot, if it has any.
Okay.
And as I'm approaching, I want to look if there's any like open windows.
Excellent. Give me a perception check with advantage as you are able to look and see that the entire... So the way the ship is constructed, the hull itself, almost like fat with cargo sitting beneath the waves, you're able to see that most of the latches of like where cannons would poke through or where ballista would pop through have been shut for the evening. But for windows, like any kind of like open identifiable section, you're able to see light kind of with like shadows dancing out from where the rear wall of the captain's quarters would be. Because as you would know, just with the architectural documents memorized, the rear section of the cornucopia is largely just windows, kind of signifying that this is more of a ship of elegance rather than a ship that is built for combat.
It's a pleasure cruise.
100%. That is very accurate. And you're able to notice that, like, what is not window, there's a small little, almost like balcony overlooking the sea. And you're able to hear or I guess like you're just able to see that the light is not as distorted. The shadows are not that wispy, and there must be a door open on this like balcony to the captain's quarters.
Okay. You want that? You still want that perception check?
Yes, please.
It was a 7.
With a 7, and that is all I'm going to give you.
Yep. That's what I deserved.
Okay.
I will direct the rowboat to the balcony, and then I want to hoist myself up onto the balcony, if I can.
Okay, so you silently row your way until you are underneath the captain's quarters of the cornucopia. Now, it's about 15 feet off the ground from you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest, probably if you would like to make an athletics check to try to just vertical leap 15 feet. 9 feet in the air because you're 6 feet tall and you can probably just grab on. You can do that. But I will say that you will have equipped yourself with certain items that would probably assist you with this. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll throw a rope up there to hoist myself up.
Again, you make almost like a makeshift lasso, and you're able to throw it and wrangle onto one of the corner posts of this balcony and begin to, again, silently and begin climbing your way up this rope. Mm-hmm. As your head begins to peek over, again, insanely elaborate, like in no way was this designed to sail into waters as like just horrendous as this. The guardrail of this balcony being like this wood that is expertly carved into like this almost like curvy form. And you're able to pull yourself up, and not yet on the balcony, you're able to look inside of the captain's quarters. So, that's exactly what I'm picturing. Just purple eyes and black hair emerging up from above the guardrail. First of all, you're able to see an abundance of clothing and books and memorabilia. And instead of like wall-mounted candle holders, you're able to see full golden rod candle stands. You see a king-size bed in the corner with like elegant pressed velvet sheets and like a duck feather pillow. In the center, you're able to see a desk facing the main doorway with like a single candle to one side, with books and maps open like a tidy and like organized, like educated fashion. And sitting at this desk, there is a figure. He has a slim frame. He has long, flowing, curly hair. He has noticeably pale but sunburned skin. He has flowing and relaxed loungewear on, and a wide-brimmed hat with a feather sticking out of it beside him. Your target. Shodi, what do you do?
I will slowly approach, and I will announce myself by just lightly tapping on the glass of the door, or the entranceway. Still staying outside.
Okay, you announce yourself. As you tap on the glass, not saying a word, you're able to see this figure kind of hunched over these like maps and books. Just says to you, "Rahi, I have told you so many times, you can just use the door like a normal person." And then begins to turn to look at you. Do you do anything to hide yourself, or do you just let this figure see you?
I put my hands up, and I say, "I'm alone. Don't scream."
Give me an intimidation check. And I'm going to rival that with a performance roll from the Duke.
Okay. Intimidation?
Yes.
That's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20? Awesome. He immediately gets up, kind of like the moment he sees you, gets up, turns, a chair hits the floor, he turns around, and you see he goes, "Ah!" And no sound is able to come out because his throat muscles tense. He got a nat 1 for a performance check. As the Duke is too scared right now to make any noise. The floor is yours.
I keep my hands up. I gesture to my sword at my back. And I just slowly start entering the room, still keeping my hands up. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to bring you home.
Immediately is just doused in sweat. There is not even a moment of pause. It goes from totally cool to immediately this is the most stressful situation of his life. And he says, "Sir Cherie, I was not expecting you to be able to. Hello, welcome to the Sailor's Pass or the Sailor's Pass Unification Front. How is my family doing? What are you doing here?"
Your family, specifically your mother and father, are very worried about you. And that is why I'm here.
He immediately, you kind of take that kind of step forward, like you said, and he immediately, his back pressed up against the desk, he kicks and he begins laying on the desk and kicks and rolls off the other side of it, hits the floor, stands up, and the desk is in between both of you, and he goes, "Well, I am so glad to hear that you're worried about me. That is amazing. I am doing fine. I have made many great friends here. I am within the crew of a new Capitan. And I am so happy that you were able to find me and report back that I am okay. So that is all I need now." And he begins slowly back up towards the door.
Lord Hubert, I do not wish to harm you. That is not my intention here. Your parents, the Duke and Duchess, are quite concerned and would like to see you returned home.
Okay, so luckily he calms down. So this is not going to be me shouting for the next 20 minutes. We're in Alatur. I can say his name properly. Lord Hubert LaCroix looks to you and says, "Sir Cherie, I understand that you are new to this place, but I must let you know that there's not much waiting for me back at home. You must understand that the cultures of Alatur, they can be so restrictive at times. Here I can make a difference."
And what would the other noble families of Alatur say if word got out that their youngest escaped to piracy?
I understand that that may ruin my name back in Alatur for a time, but
And what of your family's name?
I am the youngest of 9. And the Duke looks at you with an earnest honesty in this moment as you see fear turn to realization. And he says, almost out loud for the first time, "I am not needed there. There is no possibility that I will ever come into any kind of significant power. My days are filled with jaunting around and drinking and doing things that do not matter. Cherie, please."
Regardless of station, your family loves you and they want you to come home. They want to be with you, not because of your station or what you can do for them. You are their son. And I know that the minute you step within the castle gates. Any disappointments or reproach will be forgiven upon seeing and confirming that you are well.
To come back now. You say that all would be forgiven, but all will go back to being as it was. I will only ever be seen as the youngest if I do not make something of myself. In my mind, it makes the most sense to return home once I have proven that I am worth being more than a spare.
My lord, you are no spare.
You're able to look and see that this is probably, I'll say this with no check. This is probably the first completely honest conversation that Lord Hubert has had about this topic without any need for flowery language or apologies or proper speech and pleasantries and things like that. It's an honest conversation between two people. And you also get the sense that Lord Hubert is not budging on this. And give me a quick insight check as to why.
Natural 20.
Ah, natural 20!
Natural 20. Ho ho ho. Natural 20.
With a natural 20, and Cherie, I'm going to slightly apply this to, of course, I know we have some wonderful friends in the chat right now, but I would hate to give away any spoilers. So I'm going to speak about some vagaries that may apply well, that maybe you can, Kate, maybe Cherie would feel some kind of personal connection to this in the way that she would rationalize this. Mm-hmm. Hubert considers himself a failure of a person. Not in the way of action, but in the way of inaction. Right now, we are 3 years before the start of the Alatur campaign and before the Palm and the Fist campaign. And him being 22 years old, you get the sense that for the majority of his life, it has been drinking and women and balls and meeting and rubbing elbows and going to jousts and pleasantries. And for most of the people that you have met within Alatur that are of these noble factions, that is enough for them. That is satisfying. It seems that Lord Hubert believes that for these 22 years of life, he has wasted his time. And even though he says he has helped here and there where he could, it has never felt like enough to him. And he feels like, in a way, there is no going home. Because failure in this would be admitting that he lacks the ability to do anything other than what he hates. Make sense?
Yeah. My lord, your 8 other siblings, I have no doubt, potentially feel the same feelings you do. But they have occupied themselves. They've seen fit to put their talents to places that suit them, and I'm sure there is a place for you there. If you want, I could make a case to Sir Saint-Pierre to make you a knight in your father's guard.
A quick maturity check for the Duke.
Oh.
With an 8. The Duke immediately, he kind of raises his voice and gets a little bit, like, frustrated and says, "A knight in the service of what? A knight in the service of what? Of protecting other people who do not do anything with their lives. The idea of being able to train every day and hold my body to fight nothing. To fight hay golems and petal creatures and maybe some rabid foxes here or there. It is a pointless endeavor. And as he begins raising his voice, and make a quick perception check. Okay. Is there any response as he begins getting like heated and this is no longer like a quiet conversation? Is there anything that you say?
Lord Hubert, if I am to be honest, I was not tasked to have a conversation with you. I was tasked to bring you home or face consequences from your mother and father.
With the inexperience in being, with never really being forced to do anything that was not like incredibly easy, Hubert immediately snaps back and says, "Oh, and if you were to fail, what would they do? They would punish you by sending you to lavish beaches, or perhaps to a small little cottage out in the middle of Herb Court? What would they do to you if you fail?"
I could be banished. And unlike you, I don't have a home to return to.
A knock at the door behind Duke. And you're able to hear a voice call through the door. "Duke, you're screaming. What are you doing?"
Kind of raise my eyebrows at him. Are these friends of yours?
They are my new family. Not to say that my old one is gone, but they are the ones that I am with for right now.
Well, then don't keep them waiting.
I was not hoping to.
And with one swift motion, the Duke is able to grab onto the latch of the door, open it inward to the captain's quarters, and again, complete pitch black outside. You are able to see a figure standing in the doorway who is shrouded, who is basically shrouded in shadow. And the one thing that you are able to see is immediately, Cherie, one of the strangest things you've probably ever seen, only probably ever having seen, like, mostly humanoid figures within Alatur, you're able to notice electricity in the sockets where a person's eyes should be. This figure steps forward into the Duke's chambers, and an immediate description in the way that Cherie would probably clock things. You're able to see this figure as a black woman, about 6 feet tall. She has white hair. She has half plate armor on that only covers her waist, legs, and boots. You're able to notice, Cherie, that this was probably taken from an Alatush vessel, as it seems to have like the plating and the crispness of it, but it has worn and has been dented and scraped in such a way that it's probably been in service for a great many years. And she's wearing a sleeveless black shirt that exposes her like neck and shoulders and arms. And immediately give me an Arcana check.
Fey Fiend Undead?
No.
Okay. Spoop. That is a 15.
With a 15. So the first thing, so not necessarily relevant to Arcana, but were able to recognize that this woman has muscles not dissimilar from yours. They are smaller, but you can see this woman is clearly like she trains probably in some way. You would doubt that there's like a proper training ground anywhere relatively close to here, but you get a sense that like her strength was built from a lifetime of like working on ships or brawling in taverns. So in a one-on-one fight, probably not up to your high standards of perfection. But with an Arcana check, it's an immediate pulse of almost celestial energy. as she steps through the doorway, these enormous wings explode off of her back. And they're great, menacing things that ripple with electrical energy. They're made of black storm clouds, and Cherie, you have heard tale of ASMR that have the ability to summon wings as their celestial, like, revelation, essentially. This is different than that, and you can immediately recognize that. And as this figure, storm clouds for eyes, walks into the room, she immediately points to you and says, "Who the fuck are you? Talking to fancy pants? Hell no! The fuck you come from?"
My name is Sir Cherie of House LaCroix. I've been tasked by the Duke and Duchess LaCroix to bring Lord Hubert home.
Nope.
And what is your name?
Fuck you.
Well, fuck you. It's not up to you, unfortunately. It's not even up to me, unfortunately.
Well then, let's hope you're dying for a good cause. And immediately, this figure, first name fuck, last name you, takes up like a brawling, like, boxing stance towards you.
I don't make any move towards my weapons. I look at Lord Hubert. Is this quite necessary?
You hear you're able to hear a third voice call out and say, No, it's not. Rahi, hands down, Duke, back up. And you're able to hear this third voice. You're able to hear a almost like a spinning of some kind of object on a rope, and you're able to hear as it sounds like pirate boots walking towards the door, and immediately a third figure is revealed to you. And this is the definition of a proper pirate that you've probably heard about. Billowing red coat with gold buttons, black knee-high boots, a wide-brimmed black leather cap, flowing and almost blue-tinted hair, blue skin, and you're able to put together this woman is an air genasi. Saber at her side, again, this kind of like, you're able to see it now as she walks into the door, a rope dart that she's twirling, and her face, most importantly of all, a good-looking face, not to say anything that's wrong with it, but one that's been through the ringer. And I want a medicine check from you real quick.
Ooh, okay. A natural 20.
That's a natural 20. A natural 20. So, and I want everybody listening at home to take this into account as well. No scarring on her face. No obvious injuries. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And thank you for joining. But her eyes are baggy and they're sunken. And her cheeks look less filled than they should be. With a natural 20, you look at her stance and you're able to notice that her stance is sloppy. It's like her weight is shifting from foot to foot, back and forth, like she's unbalanced, and her back is bent in a way that shows not undiscipline, but exhaustion. And with a natural 20, two more things. One, deeply and truly, this is a woman who has been fighting for a long time and is at her wit's end. One. Number two, Cherie, they have a little thing in Alatur called therapy. Now, has Cherie ever been to therapy before?
No.
Okay, I thought so.
She's very new to this world.
You have heard about the... You've heard about this thing called, like, you look at this person and you see, oh, this person isn't this way because of a lack of discipline. This person isn't this way because of a lack of motivation. This person is probably depressed. And this person seems like legitimately has either been so stressed for so long or has experienced such great loss that it's affecting her physically. And
Gotcha.
okay, and like, oh, sorry, what's up?
No, it's just I'm writing it down. Keep talking.
Okay, so as you're writing that down, she steps in through the doors and goes, let's all just put our weapons down. Okay. Sir Cherie from House LaCroix, correct?
Yes, and who do I have the pleasure to be speaking to?
She wraps this rope dart around her. She wraps it around her hand. She then holsters it back on her belt, and she says, My name is Charlotte Withers. This is Rahi, and you clearly already know the Duke. Rahi immediately jumps up and says, Hurricane, why are you giving this person our names? And Charlotte, this Air Genasi figure, immediately cuts Rahi off and says, Rahi, she already knows who he is. There's no point of keeping up the charade. She knows the Duke's real name. Give me a quick insight check.
She knows who he is. Oh, dang. 4.
Oh my.
We get coin?
You know what?
Coin.
Actually, yes. No to the coin, but I will say, because of your own personal situation, give me that roll with advantage. Yes.
Okay. Natural 20.
Natural 20. That is the third natural 20 of the game.
Ho ho ho! Natural 20.
Can we get some nat 20s in chat? First of all, a very snarky, quick, cold response from Charlotte over to Rahi. And with a nat 20, Cherie, you look to Rahi and you look over to Charlotte, and Charlotte very clearly puts her hand onto like Rahi's bare shoulder, and you can immediately clock these two are in a relationship together. Mm-hmm. But that frustrated response, as Charlotte is addressing Rahi, with a nat 20, I'm going to give you a little bit more than I was intending to. Charlotte addressing Rahi, the tone in her voice and the way she kind of brings her hands up to her face to like cover her eyes. Charlotte in this moment is deeply unhappy. Continuing the nat 20, you're able to notice that Rahi, completely focused on you, probably indicative of the rest of the relationship as well, is unable to notice this. And the last little question that I will throw into the pot is, you wonder if Charlotte's unhappiness is the, like within this dynamic, is because of Rahi, or if Rahi right now is being caught in the crossfire because Charlotte's unhappy. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you see Charlotte clear and like immediately established like is the authority figure of this group goes, we cannot allow you to take. Shut the door. As like it seems like her brain is working like out of order. As the Duke quickly shuts the door, kind of pulls the windows, like pulls the curtains, and goes, Hubert has been instrumental in helping out our cause. And we cannot lose anybody else.
Oh.
Would you be willing to sit and talk?
Of course.
Duke, get the brandy. We will discuss this in one moment. And we're going to take a very quick break. Alrighty. Oh, some palm in the fist lore. Some palm in the sandwich into an Alato session. Oh. Kate, you having a good time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I need to go to the bathroom. I need to get some water.
Yes. Same.
I hope that everybody in chat's having a good time. I hope this is engaging. Kate, I love you. This is so much fun.
I love you. This is so much fun.
This is so good. Okay, so everybody, quick, maybe 3-minute break, and then we'll be back with more Misadventures Cherie Part 1. Sound good? All right, catch you guys soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we are back. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
And after a very short break, we are back with more Misadventures Cherie. All right. Where you left off. Cherie, you are now conversing with pirates.
Mm-hmm.
You are currently sitting, or would you be sitting or standing during this interaction?
If the captain is sitting, then I will also be sitting.
She 100% gets a chair and begins sitting.
Then I will sit across from her.
She gets a chair. Duke gets a chair. You get a chair. Rahi stands behind Charlotte with her arms crossed. Charlotte immediately says to you, okay, so you seem incredibly reasonable. As she pushes a glass of brandy over towards you if you would like a drink.
I would like to keep a clear head, but thank you for the offer, and I'll slide it back to her.
You slide it back to her. The Duke intercepts it and then begins rapidly drinking it to build up some liquid courage. Charlotte takes a crystal decanter, pours herself some brandy, and then begins sipping on it and says, okay. We can't lose the Duke. But you are incredibly reasonable, and so you seem like we have the ability to negotiate, okay? Now, if you don't know, I'll tell you right now. We are the and immediately you're able to see a little bit of regret as she said this, in her eyes, as she gestures to the room around them and says, we, as well as one more ship in our fleet, we are the Sailors Pass Unification Front. And we're a group that was founded by natives to Superi and Trum, but also some wealthy benefactors that support our cause, and our goal is to clear out the boneyard and eliminate the roving bands of raiders on Superi and Trum and bring back the ruler of the shores. Okay?
A noble cause.
Yes. Spuff. Yes, that was an intentional joke. Thank you. My understanding of Alator, I'm so sorry, it's Charlotte. My understanding of Alator is not that detailed, but from what I hear and the stories that Duke tells, there are families that rule over land, correct?
Correct.
So, in that way, about 35, 40 years ago, before the Battle of Sailors Pass, there was a government here called the Ruler of the Shores, and it was the ruler of the North Shores, Superi, and the ruler of the South Shores, Trum. And together, it was a unified kingdom of two kings or two queens, or a king and a queen, that would essentially work to protect and govern over the people of both those that were native to the lands and also Sailor's Pass, and we are looking to bring that government back. Now, once we are, and there is a pain in her voice as she said this, once we are victorious and once we are done fighting, I will be the ruler of the North Shores, the ruler of Supere. And either Fuse or Rahi or the Duke will be the ruler of the South Shores. And give me a quick insight check as she says that.
Gotcha. 7.
Honestly, I think appropriate. To know more about this, you would need to know more about the history of Superior Trum, and or at least more about the culture. And Cherie, that is just not information that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Okay, so once we clear out the boneyard, ships will be able to pass quickly at 4 times their normal speed through. The waters of Sailor's Pass are strange. Whatever way you are sailing, that is the way the current pushes you. The main issue right now is that the boneyard, so many ships at once, they're being pushed into each other constantly. We don't know, it doesn't recognize shipwrecks, and we don't know why. But once we're able to fix that, because we are going to fix that, I will be able to guarantee, and Rahi or the Duke or Fuse, we will be able to guarantee any Alator merchant vessels that use Sailor's Pass to transport their goods to Horcry or to transport their goods over to Zanweifu or to Frisian. They will be able to use Sailor's Pass without any threat of piracy. Is that agreeable?
Sorry, I'm just writing this down.
As you're writing that down, Rahi immediately kind of like leans over and goes, "Charlotte," and Charlotte kind of snaps for a moment and goes, "Please, please, please, let me talk, please," and kind of like, and it just cuts Rahi off hardcore.
That is more than agreeable. You are the Capitan of this vessel, yes?
Not of this vessel. That belongs to Captain Duke.
Yes. Of course. But yes. That is not information that pertains to me, but will be of the utmost importance to families such as Lord Hubert's.
But it's an agreement that you can make as the honor, with the honor of a knight, that you could give me your word, and Lord Hubert can return once our battle is finished. But so is it a deal? Is that agreeable?
I haven't spent much time with Lord Hubert and the LaCroix, but from the short time that I have, I know that no trade promise can replicate the proof of their child's safety. If you'll forgive me.
Charlotte, she nods, and as she continues to nod, she slowly kind of puts her head almost like in between her knees, and like interlocks her fingers like on like the back of her head, and like you're able to notice that her leg kind of begins like her heel begins tapping into the floorboards as she goes, and you're able to see she's getting like visibly frazzled now as she goes, "Oh, come on, man, come on. Just cut us a fucking break. Like, you're so reasonable. And You're agreeable with everything but this. Why do you have to take more people away from me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're not letting you take the Duke.
You seem under a lot of pressure, Charlotte. I am not unsympathetic to that. I have merely been given orders, just as I'm sure you have, or you have dealt out orders, and I'm sure you'd be very disappointed if said orders were not carried out. Yes?
Give me an insight check with advantage.
That's a 15.
The 15. Charlotte's lips purse and her brow furrows. And Cherie, again, you have memory. Again, it's like your current day understanding meshing with your memories from the past, and just for a moment Charlotte becomes Alwyn Pavel, and you're able to see Alwyn's 1,000-yard stare into the hearth before her face switches back over to Charlotte, and you're able to see that 1,000-yard stare, pursed lips, furrowed brow directly at your feet, and that's specifically because you began mentioning orders and the idea of orders being followed, and you get the sense that this conversation is not going well.
Mm-hmm. Tell me how Lord Hubert has been instrumental to your cause.
Lord Hubert stands up, and he looks over to Charlotte, looks over to Rahi, and sure, you're able to see an immediate, like, just across his face, an affinity. He's able to recognize the, like, to put it in perspective, he's able to recognize that Rahi is, like, very one-minded in the way of, like, I protect the people that are close for me and there are no more complications besides that. And he's also able to recognize that Charlotte is at the end of her fucking rope right now. And he steps up and, in a way of trying to, like, it essentially take care of this situation. Let me just make sure the music is okay. I want to make sure it's not too loud.
Sounds good on my end.
No, I know, but I want to make sure it's coming okay in the stream. Everybody in Twitch chat,
yeah.
if the music is too loud or too quiet, absolutely awesome.
Music is perfect.
Perfect. Everything is great, and I appreciate you guys for helping make the stream as good as it is. The Duke steps up and says, Charlotte, in no way do you need to reveal that information. The Duke looks over to Rahi and Charlotte. The Duke looks over to you. And the Duke says, Sir Cherie, I do believe that some things are better left private, but in this circumstance, I sadly must tell you a truth that I have been keeping hidden for some time.
Go on.
Give me an insight check very quickly.
Hey. 14.
With a 14?
14.
You look over at Rahi and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of a... maybe a little bit of... like, you see Rahi's, like, larger, kind of muscular, imposing figure. And again, Charlotte's beautiful face. And just the slightest amount of understanding there. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the Duke then says to you, as you can see, I have always been fond of the ocean.
the endless ships and the adventures of merchants and pirates. I was too fond of dreaming with my eyes open.
And he finishes his glass of brandy and then quickly pours himself another and says,
And I spent many sleepless nights chucking stones into Merchant's Bay. Until one evening a few months ago, it was not so quiet, Cherie. There was crying, and I heard the galloping of a horse. The crying individual found refuge in a clearing nearby, and I will say that my lesser instincts got the better of me, and I hid, not wanting to explain myself.
Cherie, you immediately know where this story is going. And I will say this right now. At any point, if you would like me to stop talking, simply interrupt me. All right?
In the bushes of the clearing nearby, I watched and was able to just catch a glimpse of what something I saw that was familiar. It was my sister, Palm. And she fell from her mountain. She knelt into the muddy, wet sand and wept into the sea, ruining her dress. And I was just about to leave my hiding spot and comfort her as any good youngest brother would do, but then I heard the galloping of another horse. Unsurprisingly, it was you. But surprisingly, you did not see me. I have always believed that either you were too nervous to confront me, or perhaps you were too blinded by your concern for her. Based on the look on your face, I assume it was the latter. You rushed to her side, you knelt, causing quite a mess of your silver armor, and you embraced her, and you cared for her as a protector would, no?
I did.
But, Sir Cherie, if I remember correctly, that is not where it stopped, was it?
What is your point, my lord?
The point is that I removed myself before I saw anything that was unbecoming of a gentleman, unbecoming of a lord. But my point is that I want you and my sister to be happy together in whatever situation you may have.
And you're able to see, like, it's mainly the brandy talking now, but as he looks you dead in the eyes, this stick-thin, like, lean muscle easily is like half of your weight. He is not a challenge physically for you at all. And he says to you,
but Sir Cherie, I want you to hear me well. If you take my dream away from me, then I will take your dream away from you. What would my father say?
Seems you're not so foolish as they say.
I am also not fool enough to not apologize for what I just said to you. Again, I am sorry. You, again, are very agreeable, but this is something I cannot bend on. And I understand that you must take me back alive.
There's no need for apologies, Lord Hubert. Captain Hurricane.
she is settled as she has been looking between the Duke and you and the Duke and you, and just for a moment the world is forgotten as she is enraptured by this drama, and she looks over to you when she is addressed.
You have a deal.
What?
You heard me.
She looks over to the Duke and looks back over to you and immediately says, yeah, I mean, you asked why he was valuable, and that's a pretty good example right there. Yes, if you, and again, we're not asking you to fake his death. We're not asking you to bring back a trophy. We're just asking that you say you didn't find him, and once this is won, once everything is okay here, he can return if he wants to.
I didn't see him. I didn't see you, or your partner, or anyone in this fleet.
Rahi, arms still crossed, just quickly says to you, "Good answer." And her storm cloud eyes, you have no idea where she's looking, but you have to imagine, just like with some sensation in the back of your head, she's staring directly into your purple eyes.
I am unaccustomed to the waters of the palm and the fist. It was only natural that I got lost.
Charlotte raises her glass to you, now with only a spit of alcohol left, and says, "Well, I hope the waters are kinder to you on your way home."
And I hope you can find some rest, Captain.
Sir Cherie, I'm looking forward to telling you that the war was won.
I'm looking forward to your victory.
Charlotte stands up and she spits into the palm of her hand and puts it in front of you. And you would know this custom as like a way that pirates usually shake on deals. And I think Cherie's reaction that you're thinking of right now is very appropriate for her. Rahi just goes, "What the hell?" And then immediately it's the tightest handshake you've ever felt as you shake on it. And Cherie, do you say anything else before do you exit the way you came? Do you walk out onto the main deck? What do you do?
I turn to go back out the way I came, but before I do, I turn to Lord Hubert and I say, "Is there anything you wish for me to pass on to your family?"
He smiles gently, and he takes a piece of parchment out of one of the books that he was reading. He takes a inkwell and a quill. He dips it. He then writes a message into the letter. He rolls it up. He takes the glass decanter that had brandy in it. He quickly shakes it out. He puts the scroll, he puts a little message into the bottle. He puts the topper back into the decanter. And he then takes a little vial of hot wax, pours it onto the front of the decanter, and presses the LaCroix family house emblem into the front of it before taking the hot wax and pouring it all around where the gap would be in between the stopper of the decanter and the bottle itself, and then hands it over to you and says,
Say that you found this at the bottom of the sea, or it's washed up on a shore that you came across. It is a message to my parents, letting them know that I am okay.
Thank you, my lord. And good luck.
To you as well, Sir Cherie. And live your dream.
And you yours.
And with that, Cherie, as you say, and you yours, you open your eyes up after resting, and it has only been 4 hours of sleep. Now, Kate, you and I talked about this a little bit outside of game. But before we get into... Thank you so much, Moss. Much appreciated. I really appreciate that. And shout out Kate as well. Kate, you're such a fucking good scene partner. That was so much fun.
You're such a fucking good scene partner. Oh my god.
And we're not done yet, baby.
Nah.
So before anything else, as you wake up, what is the first... So again, you know that right now it's probably around like... roughly like maybe 5 p.m. 6 p.m. Sunset will be happening in about an hour, and you've only got maybe 4 hours of rest, so you're well ahead of the advanced recovery crew that was going to be sent out by the Pavels. As you wake up on the floor, your eyes immediately spring open. What's going through Cherie's mind having that memory kind of flash back to her?
That she can't repeat the same mistake that she made back then. And she immediately gets up off the floor and starts getting dressed, donning her armor, and all that.
Okay, as you wake up, you're able to see that during your slumber, some servants came in and were able to polish up your scale mail and the chrome leg fittings, and were able to very gently not take your blade to the stone, as it does not need to be sharpened, but was able to polish it in a way where just as you begin to look at the glint of it, just kind of like as the setting sun comes into the window, you're able to see, only to your eyes attuned to it, knowing where it was, the faint spot, the faint discoloring of lipstick where Palm pressed her lips so many weeks ago. Now, as you begin to get up, again, we talked about this outside, you have just taken a short, long rest, which is a really weird sentence to say. You've slept for longer than 1 hour, but less than the standard D&D 6 to 8 hours. So, here's how we're going to rock this. Can you please give me a con save of DC 15?
Sure. Natural 20!
Oh my god, this is amazing. This is incredible. This is the 4. I'm not asking for that many rolls. The statistics, this is wild. Kate, I think you've broken the Alata curse for bad rolls. This is nuts.
Don't jinx me, because once we have a session, I'm gonna roll like dog water again.
No, it's gonna be great. The vibes are gonna continue.
I hope so.
I'm bringing out a D fucking... Oh my god, my dice are so cool. They have eyes in them, but they're in like a special little goofy container.
Ooh.
You refuse to let this happen again, and with 4 hours of sleep in you, you're able to don all of your armor. You are able to get your sword. You get your sword all situated. You know that you're in perfect condition. Not only do you remove all of your levels of exhaustion with only 4 hours of sleep, but also with a nat 20, you gain 10 temporary hit points.
Hey! So no more exhaustion.
No more exhaustion. And also, by the way, whatever you would regain on a long rest, you would also regain that. Yes.
Okay. Tight. And 10 temporary HP?
10 temp HP. With a nat 20, I'm going to honor that with 10 temp HP.
Tight.
Hell yeah. All right. So, Cherie, as you wake up, you will not repeat that failure again. Probably 2 hours until the actual crew goes out to look for the bodies of Hawthorne, Amadeus, and Cass. What do you do?
I think I'm gonna go look for the soldiers that would be sent out and try to rouse them early to leave as soon as possible.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna say with your knowledge of working within castles, you're immediately able to identify like who the scouts would be, and just roll. Give me a quick D4 roll.
D4, 2.
You are able to towards the stables again. So the squad has not been properly assembled yet because it's not some kind of like massive military operation. It's pretty clandestine. But you at the stables are able to find 2 rough riders, the kind of messengers that were sent that when Cass received that scroll at the Fertile Coast, and you're able to find them preparing their steeds. As they see you, they give you a quick salute, and you would immediately know that these men of military rank preparing their horses now. They're going to be part of that crew.
Is there a spare mount?
But that is the only question. Why, yes, of course, sir.
Show me to it. We ride now.
Immediately looks towards your authority. You, again, your armor is glimmering. Emmy, thank you so much for stopping by. We deeply appreciate it. Yes,
thank you.
Fucking, she's doing such a great job. Shout out, Kate. Me? Yeah, you are able to be taken into the stables, and immediately they say, we have riders that are commonly used for the, sorry, we have, I'm getting flustered, you look so incredible in your armor right now. Apologies, sir, not appropriate.
Correct.
We have mounts that have been trained for speed and endurance. And with that, we are able to provide that for you. And then immediately as you're like walking the stables, again, it's like easily a dozen rows of horses right now, like all like within their personal stables, and they're all beautiful, slim creatures built for speed. And then, but as like you're walking through this determination, give me a quick dexterity saving throw.
Oh. 7.
7, you're so big and you're so good at walking powerfully that you fully bulldoze into this smaller figure that you do not even see. It falls to the ground.
Apologies. I helped them up.
You help them up. This is a stable hand, a woman, braided hair, a little bonnet cap, like calloused hands, much shorter than you. And she says, it's all right, sir. I need to make sure to not walk in your path. It seemed like you were very determined there. But sir, and you've never met this woman before. She goes, Sir Cherie?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I should have been watching my step. You hold more authority in this place.
She blushes immediately, and she says, well, you're always welcome around my place for dinner, but I have something urgent for you. The storm passed about an hour or so ago, and we received a special visitor for you, I guess. It was very strange. Would now be a good time? You seem very determined with the Rough Riders.
If this is urgent, then of course.
All right. And you're able to see that she rushes off to like the back section of the stables, like back where like a trough and like some hay would be, because all these stables are currently being used to shelter the horses that they expected. And pulling it by fresh reins around the corner, you are able to see the massive black workhorse that you left back at De La Colline.
That's Cherie's inner expression, but she remains stoic. And says to the stable hand, How did you find her?
I'm not. To be honest, she just kind of started. She was just standing at the gates after the tornado. We thought it was an sign of the apocalypse, honestly. But after we opened the door, she just kind of barged in and started kicking and biting everybody, and we had to grab a hold of her reins and drag her back here. And she had these saddlebags on her, and you're able to see this massive mare comes right up to you, this complete bitch of a horse, as described by this woman, and just goes, and just kind of nuzzles into you.
I nuzzle her back.
Perfect. You're able to see that on this big black workhorse that which you have not ever named. You're able to see that it has a new saddle and 2 saddlebags on its side, along with a new bit and reins as well. Would you like me to describe the saddle and the bit, or would you like me to or like you are able to notice that there are within the saddlebag, it looks like they've been recently opened, and the stable hand goes, "Now, apologies, sir, I did have to go through the actual saddlebags themselves, and I was able to find letters addressed to you, but I read no further. I promise. Right hand to the Pavels."
Of course. Do you have them?
Yes, I believe they're numbered. So let me, and she quickly she goes back into the saddlebags and hands you the first one first. I'm gonna change the music, but I'm gonna ask you to read these out loud.
I can just pull them from, if this is what I think it is.
They actually are not, surprisingly enough. We're gonna get to that a little bit later. This is secret special notes.
Okay.
And I'm quickly making a little message for you in Discord. So feel free to read this off out loud as I change the music up.
Okie dokie. Where is it? There it is.
You reading it out loud, or are you reading it in your head?
I'm reading in my head.
Okay, no problem.
I will look in the saddlebag.
Okay. As you look into the saddlebag, just got to get my notes up real quick so I can give you all the accurate information. So the saddlebag itself, so the saddle and the saddlebags kind of work together in this way. They're a bit strange because they're made from black leather, but the leather is worn and cut in odd places. It's functional and it's comfortable to sit on, but something is off about it. It isn't until you find a loose sole and a hanging heel that you realize that this saddle is made from black boots, specifically pirate boots.
Oh my god.
Clearly, Jammin wanted to show his appreciation for your help in retrieving the pirates from the Coral Crew, and he taxed his own crew to do so. And the saddlebags are made from a dusty, dark leather with buttons and latches that match the bag, but not the saddle itself. You realize that these saddlebags are made from Jammin's billowing coat, meaning that Pyrrha, metaphorically, got her retribution before the pirates set sail.
Nice.
Fucking Moss, give me 1 second. Not 20. You're able to find a lemon in the other saddlebag as well. Yes, absolutely. And as you look into the saddlebags, next to the lemon, you are able to see a small toy rowboat that fits comfortably into your, just like, the bag that every D&D character has. In Alatush, you are able to see the phrase "Arrose moi" carved into the side. From your lessons with Palm, you would know that this means "water me."
Water maid?
Water me.
Water meat.
Yeah, water me, yes.
Oh, okay. I'll take some water from my, I'll take my water skin and I'll pour some water on it.
Okay, excellent. You take some water from your water skin, you pour it on it?
Mm-hmm. And everything blows up?
Damn you, dice, why are you so hard to take out? Okay.
Water meat.
Water meat. What are me?
What are me?
Yar.
So
what
true.
are me?
What are me?
Philosopher pirate be like. Okay. Okay, Cherie, you immediately lose those 10 temp HP as you water this rowboat, and it immediately, you're able to feel the bow of it immediately slam into your face and push you back by 5 feet as this small little toy rowboat expands out into a full-sized rowboat, complete with oars.
Oh.
As you're knocked completely onto your back.
Ah.
Oh my god, are you okay?
I'm fine. I don't know what I expected.
Holy crap, you're not even bleeding! Like, your face looks honestly unaffected.
Merely a shock. Is there a way to shrink this back?
You are actually able to notice that as the boat has expanded outward, due to the lack of water now in its surroundings, it begins to slowly shrink back down to the size of a toy boat.
Ah. Wonderful. I think I'll keep it in this small size for now.
Okay. That was note number 1, along with the gift. There is a second note as well, if you wish to read that.
Yes, of course.
Okay. You pull out the second note, and this is what it says. You can either read it out loud or in your head. And as Kate's reading this, if you're sticking around for this long, we're probably gonna go for another 20 minutes or so, and then we're gonna wrap up. But if you're but you don't, no need to stick around. If you're watching us now, we deeply appreciate you. And Steve and Gab and Moss and Emmy and Darby, thank you so much for just supporting us. This means a lot to us. Thank you.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Secret notes delivered. And then with that, because of that passageway, along in that saddlebag with the second note, you were able to find a small vial that seems to contain a storm cloud. This item can be marked down as the Wrath of Studs. Now, I will now give you the description of this, what this magical item does. Your black workhorse is a regular steed with regular horse stats, but the Wrath of Studs can be used to summon a shadow steed. This shadow steed will have the physical stats of a regular horse, but similar to Pinecone, will have a reduced speed of 30 feet / 60 feet. It can be summoned once per long rest, allowing you to have your horse and ride it too.
Aww.
And with that, that is... Oh, and also the final thing, as you take this massive horse by its reins, still unnamed, you're able to notice the reins, because I made a little thing describing the reins. Where the fuck is it? Yes, it is a matte iron bit connected to a tightly woven rope, accented with black leather handguards. It seems that these reins were handcrafted by the villagers of De La Colline with the materials they had on hand. And I'll send over all the description if you want it for later. I just figured I might as well get it out there.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
But with that, those notes in hand, your original horse restored to you. This absolute beast of an animal, which seemingly only respects you. You and 2 rough riders are ready to ride.
I thank the stable hand. And I take the reins of the horse, and as I'm stroking its flank, I press my head to its to its face, and I say, "Minuit, is that your name?"
And it kind of nuzzles into you a bit more.
Very well.
Is it Minuet?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Minuit. Minuit?
Minwi. Okay, got it. Minwi, what a beautiful name for a beautiful mare. Wow, that's actually very, very cute. That's adorable. Minwi, do you, so, Kate, what's the plan? What's Cherie doing?
I will then say to the horse, we have a rough ride ahead of us. Can you handle it? Very well, and I will mount up and signal to the Rough Riders. Shall we?
With you, good sir. And they immediately mount up on their horse as well, and you guys begin to shoot out of the gates of Herb Cortate to go look for Hathor, Cass, and Amadeus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me change the music real quick. Okay. Make sure the music is all good. Okay, sick musical changes. Cherie, the gates are open proper for you, large enough for carts to head through, maybe 3 to 4 shoulder to shoulder. As you and these Rough Riders, yeah, and you guys hit the dusty trail, cowboy style, loving it. You're able to see absolute destruction outside of the gate to the path of the sheep with Herb Corte. The grass is torn up, the stone roads are disheveled, there's a massive indent into the earth, laid barren with only dirt and gravel. This tornado sliced through these fields. Immediately, so I'm gonna say, no check necessary, you're able to return to the spot where you saw Hathor, and Cass, and Amadeus, and F, and Havoc be sucked away into the tornado, and there are no bodies there, which makes sense. That generally that makes sense, and you're able to see the path the tornado was on continue off to the what would be the north, away from Herb Corte.
Yeah.
What do you do?
That's to the north was the path of destruction.
Yeah. So like you were able to follow the trail the tornado was on.
Then I'll keep following that trail.
Okay, you and the Rough Riders and your and Minwi began fucking hauling it down this makeshift, basically this makeshift wound into the earth. And for about 2 miles you follow this destruction, until suddenly, I think the music's a little bit too loud. Hold on.
Sounds good to me.
I gotta keep my eyes on everything. You continue roughing it for about 2 miles, and then the trail suddenly ends, as if the cyclone finally dissipated, most likely broken apart by the mountains to the north of Alatur. Oh, thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. It's actually great to have someone here just to check the audio. Now, Cherie, it's kind of weird because you haven't found any bodies so far. Neither a friend nor a foe. Give me a quick survival check with advantage.
That is a 16.
With a 16, you've been pretty thorough so far. And at least with the way that you have been, again, this is very important to you. And so the meticulous nature that you've been going over this might sound morbid, but I think in Cherie's mind, it was like, oh, I probably should have found something by now. Not even if it's a body, like I should have seen blood or bone or armor or trinkets or something out of the ordinary. And with a 16, you said? You reach the end of the tornado, like where it would have dissipated, and immediately your eyes kind of trail over to maybe 150 yards off of the main path of destruction, and you see these small hills of dirt that don't really line up with what you've been seeing so far.
I'll guide the horse over to the hills of dirt.
Okay. Investigating closer, these mounds of dirt are not mounds that were created by like falling debris, but rather it seems like these are holes that have been dug into the earth and the dirt's been displaced. And what you're able to see 3 average-sized holes, 1 larger hole, and then 1 carriage-sized hole. And you want to give me a quick history check with advantage, beat a 5.
Yeah.
5. Amadeus.
I got more. Come on, please. I got more than a 5.
Easy peasy. Amadeus, Cass, Hathor, F, and Havoc. 5 holes in total.
And are they leading somewhere?
Oh, with that question, you get the sense that, like, well, first of all, it seems like the earth that you're currently standing on, that's kind of like softer dirt. So much earth was displaced that you would have to imagine these bodies, once the tornado stopped, hit the ground and then were immediately covered in like pounds and pounds of dirt, essentially in like a mock burial in a way. But, and I think, let's say, for a moment, there's a spark of hope within you, Cherie, as there are no bodies. These are empty holes. No friends, no enemies, and you have to think, what could move this amount of earth that quickly? And you remember Chaos. Chaos, who was far away from the tornado. Chaos, who has had the scent of your allies and F and his sister for days for your friends and probably months for your enemies. And you're able to see paw prints. And like this loose and wet dirt makes it pretty easily to see where like larger animals ride to. And you're able to see that these tracks shoot off to the east, like back down the path of the sheep.
I will turn my horse and I'll signal to the Rough Riders to follow these paw prints.
Okay, you follow these paw prints. You begin fucking whipping it. You begin hauling it down these tracks. And for you, I'm not even going to require a check because, Cherie, in your brain, like as you're traveling, you begin to move for a couple hours until you just see anything. And in this moment, as you're moving, what is happening? Like, Cherie, there are no bodies. There are tracks to follow. What's going on in Cherie's mind right now?
Hope. Just the fact that the quest didn't end there at the end of the path with a pile of bodies. She has some hope.
Okay. With that hope, you ride for 1 hour, 2 hour, 2.5. The sun has begun to set. The sun has begun to set, and now as it disappears over the western horizon, again silhouetting Herb Corte before it becomes night, you ride for maybe, I'm going to say 10 to 15 miles on horseback as fast as you can until slowly in the distance, emerging out from this higher grass, you are able to see the slight flickering of a fire off in the distance.
Fire in the distance?
Yep.
I will keep riding, but slow it, so I can converse with the Rough Riders. We're approaching a camp.
Yes, sir.
Stay on your guard. We should dismount a good amount of yards away.
Yes, sir. We can take up a spotting position from. And you see they go into the bags and they pull out a spyglass and they hand it over to you. And they go, there should be, if we are able to catch the right angle with the wind, we should be able to see through the glass and through the grass and perhaps be able to catch more details.
Lead the way.
All right. The Rough Riders of the land so incredibly well. They're actually able to find you one of these, like, you know, it's almost like how certain fields have like larger boulders within them. They're like, oh, we're at the path of the sheep. Oh, we're at this mile marker. We're gonna shoot off right here. They take one of these larger boulders. It's like maybe 800 yards away from this camp, and they take out these spy glasses and they hand one over to you, and they take out another one. Give me a quick perception check with advantage.
That is a filthy 20.
Filthy 20, Fey Fiend Undead. Couple things that you're able to see. You're able to see 4 carriages with their backs basically interlocked together, making a makeshift barricade from the elements and any kind. Basically kind of like, you know, packing up to avoid any like creatures that may be stalking in the night. You're able to see a fire right in the center. You're able to see figures moving around. And with a dirty 20, you're able to notice these figures are scrawnier, they're bonier, they move in kind of like a jagged, almost twitchy way, and you'd be able to recognize that advantage vampire spawn. And alongside that, with a dirty 20, you are also able to watch as this hulking figure that you would immediately recognize as F walks in between the carriages, kind of like, again, unarmored completely, bandaged up, clearly badly wounded, and you're able to then watch as... I'm just gonna make a quick roll to see where in the timeline we are right now. And you are able to watch as Hathor, pink hair, feet bound and hands bound, shuffles in front of F over, like it basically just quickly can be viewed in between this like gap in between the carriages before disappearing and you don't know where else. And immediately you see, oh shit, Hathor's alive.
I snap the spyglass shut, and I hand it back to the Rough Riders.
Okay.
I don't know what can be said for the Honorable Viscount, but Hathor is alive. We must act quickly.
Understood, sir. And they basically put give you their spyglass and go, look there, 15 degrees off to the right of the carriages. And they were looking like out at the environment as you were looking in towards the carriages themselves, and they point out to you that you are able to see 2 humongous black wolves, Havoc and Chaos. Now you're able to see Havoc. It seems that Havoc is wrapped up in like large tarps that act as like makeshift slings and bandages, and you're able to see Chaos, her brother, licking where the wounds are, trying to keep just, you know, doing what a dog can to help when something is wounded. And they say, what is your plan for those animals?
Do either of you have any meat or rations in your pockets? Something that smells.
Standard Rough Rider provisions.
And they pull out just like standard D&D rations of like dried meat and jerkies. And they go,
I think... What is your plan? I think we are thinking of the same thing.
If you can attach these to your saddle enough to get a scent going, if you were to split course around the campground to distract these beasts, I will move in and try to cause somewhat, your distracting of the beast will be distraction enough, but I will distract on the camp front. I will attempt to hijack a carriage. When I do so, that will be your signal to loop around and return to me, so that we may get these very important people out as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir. Understood. And knows there is not a man alive that can catch a Rough Rider.
These are very dangerous beasts. Please ride fast, ride with caution. They are wounded, so use that to your advantage.
So we ride quickly, and we ride well.
And with that, Cherie, you begin riding off very stealthily towards the encampment of carriages as these Rough Riders begin to circle around the encampment itself. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session. And we will pick it up with Alatar episode 20. Oh, I am getting horrendous audio issues right now. Wow. Let me.
I don't have any problems.
No, I think it's just a me problem. Actually, Kate, give me 1 second. Everybody, I'm going to end stream, and then we're immediately going to start the stream back up. I need to restart my PC. I'll be right back. All right. But yes,
Oh, no.
that's where we end tonight's session. Everybody, if you need to leave right now, go ahead. That was a great time, and you guys rock. Kate will be streaming again in like 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Peace out.
Gotta boot up your PC.
I gotta be because I need me.
Me, Fortnite Battle Pass. What happened?
Okay, everybody, we're back in the car. We're back in the bus. Awesome, sweet. Okay, so we're back. Yeah. So
are we live?
Well, yes, we're live right now. So for some reason, also RIP to the great chat that we were having right here. For some reason, my PC's been having issues where around the 2 hour and 40-minute mark, it just starts glitching out. I think it might be a CPU issue. Like I usually don't have problems with it, but like I'll do some testing with it. But yes, sorry for the abrupt ending. But yes, Misadventures Cherie, Kate, I wasn't even able to say the thing I always say. Are we all having a good time?
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely.
Abso-fucking-lutely. I am so very happy to hear. This was, I'm gonna be honest, I'm very tired right now. This is a wonderful time. This was the result of the perfect storm of events, Darby rolling that weather roll for Alatur, and then Kate being the only person to successfully escape it. This is awesome, and Kate, thank you so much for being willing to do this, and thank you for working with me to help design this session, like the whole the Duke. Of course. It's a story, you know. There's got to be some surprises, but the Duke conversation and the coupled with the Charlotte reveal and the problem of the fist lore. I hope it was a good time.
Oh, it was so much fun. I love telling stories with you.
Oh, Kate, you're just the best at telling. I love you. You're awesome.
I love you. You're the best.
And Moss, thank you so much for sticking around. Moss. Much appreciated. Yes, I'm excited to watch this back. I want to know if the audio gets fucked up in the recording as well. But yes, Alatur sadly for this week had to be canceled because I have work stuff early in the morning and I sadly cannot stay up late. But it was super cool that we were able to do this and we were able to get ready. So yeah, Kate, anything you want to say before we call it?
This was so much fun, and I understand you have that you are a working boy. There's no worries, but I want to play so bad.
Yeah, I fully understand, and I hate canceling, but sadly, it's just what you got to do sometimes.
It's all good. Sometimes life be like that sometimes.
It do be like that, though.
But I had so much fun. Did you have fun?
Oh, this was and thank you guys for that. I noticed that you guys have been asking that more and more, and I do appreciate that. I love doing this, and I gotta say, like, you know, because days fluctuate, I'm not always feeling perfect, but being able to relax and do this, even if I'm not, like, at my 100% best, if everybody's having a fun time, then I'm having a fun time, and this is it's always fun to be able to interact with you in this way, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. But with all of that, anybody that's watching now or will be watching this on YouTube, thank you for coming to the table. We deeply appreciate it. We love doing this. We love each other. And we hope to see you in the next one. So we hope you had a great time. Enjoy yourselves. Have a nice night. Peace out, guys.
Good night.